All right, welcome everyone, and thanks for coming to this session. We realize that we're likely the last thing standing between you and your evening activities, so we'll jump right in. And thanks for hanging in to the very last presentation of the day. We're going to talk about mobilizing document insights with generative AI. My name is Derek. Kiran and Jonathan will be co-presenting today. Kiran and I are product managers at Google Cloud within the Document AI team. And Jonathan is a data science manager at Deutsche Bank. We'll give an overview of Document AI, talk about our generative AI-powered roadmap. Then we'll dive into a couple product areas, Document AI Workbench. Kiran will go over Warehouse. And then Jonathan will share the document automation journey at Deutsche Bank. Then we'll close with some Q&A. So let's dive into the overview. Document AI helps you tackle the end-to-end journey of document processing. So not only can you read documents, you can understand them from Document AI by classifying document types, extracting fields from documents, providing spatial structure of a document, summarizing document content, and more. And all of this structured data helps you ultimately make documents useful. So maybe you want to run analytics of customer feedback within a form. Maybe you're using an application form as an input to make a decision in a process. Or maybe you want to search metadata within your documents. Ultimately, Document AI can help you unlock insights and drive automation of a process that involves a document. So how does that translate into outcomes for your organization? One, structured data can help you drive automation to improve SLAs and reduce costs. And with minimal AI experience, you can use Document AI to quickly structure data. And lastly, you can manage the document lifecycle, including storing, organizing, summarizing, and searching your corpus of documents. So we're delivering business value across multiple use cases. A few of them include reducing the time it takes to process expense reports by 90%, saving up to 95% of processing time for mortgage applications, and reducing the manual processing time for public sector applications across federal, state, and local agencies. Here's a few of customers that we're helping in their document processing journey. For example, we help Workday structure data to automate procurement and expense workflows. And we help BBVA structure data to automate processes to provide the best experience possible for their banking clients. So in summary, the Document AI portfolio helps you digitize, structure, and manage data in documents. Specifically, OCR can help digitize document text, layouts, and quality scores. And many data scientists are using OCR to digitize documents as an input to call generative models. Our pre-trained models help you structure document data. For example, Form Parser uses the spatial structure of a document to identify questions and answers in a form and then return them as key value pairs. Our pre-trained models extract predefined fields from a document, like a driver's license, and you can actually improve the quality by adding documents into the training data set for your exclusive use. And we'll be diving into Workbench and Warehouse, so we won't spend much time here, but ultimately they help you structure and manage data. So now that we've given this overview, let's talk about how document processing changes with generative AI. We see three core benefits from generative AI. One is you can classify and extract data from documents faster because you no longer need to train a discrete model per task. Second, you can unlock new insights from features like document summarization and question and answer. And then generative AI can help improve the document lifecycle management with features like searching and summarizing across a corpus of multiple documents. So we plan to help our customers unlock this value, and that's why today we're announcing generative AI-powered features within Document AI. So first, generative AI-powered search across a corpus of documents is available in preview in Document AI Warehouse. Generative AI-powered extraction and summarization within Document AI is available in public preview within Workbench. And in the coming months, we plan to offer other features like generative AI-powered document classification and question and answer. And we also plan to offer documents as a modality in the Generative AI Studio, so you can discover and explore document use cases with foundation models. So let's get into the specifics of these products. We'll start with Document AI Workbench. So for context, the current product, Workbench, is a platform that helps users train models to extract data from documents, such as a patient's insurance card, or classify documents to validate form submissions and decide where to store a document. Or you can split a really long file into individual classified documents, like a mortgage application, and within one file, there's a driver's license, pay stub, W-2, and more. And today in public preview for Workbench, we're announcing the custom extractor with generative AI and the summarizer. The custom extractor with generative AI is in public preview, and you can use it to extract data from documents with free-form text, like contracts. Or you can use it to extract data from documents with lots of layout variation. Think of invoices, W-2s, bills of lading, utility bills, etc. Or you can extract data from documents when you have little to no training data available. So why would you use the custom extractor with generative AI? One, there's really fast time to value. You simply post a document with fields you want to extract to an endpoint, and you'll immediately get structured data in return. And you'll be able to customize your results by simply confirming predictions within the Document AI Workbench dataset, and then that context will be used to improve your accuracy through few-shot prediction. And in the coming months, we'll allow you to build a dataset which can be used to perform parameter-efficient fine-tuning directly through Workbench. And you'll also be able to extract documents that are really long, so 200 pages in length for now. I'm going to show you a quick demo, but before I go there, let's talk about the second feature, the summarizer. So the summarizer, you can use it out of the box with no training required. You can get summaries for documents up to 250 pages long. You don't need to worry about the model's underlying context windows or splitting a document into chunks. And you can customize based on your preferences for the summaries on their length and format. And coming soon, you'll be able to customize results by providing example documents and summaries that meet your needs. So let's switch over to the live demo and pray that Wi-Fi works. All right, perfect. So you come into Document AI, go to Workbench, and you'll simply create a custom document extractor. I'll use one that I've already created. So you can see you can use this straight out of the box. You can simply call the endpoint with a document with fields defined in the API call, and you'll get structured data in return. Or you can go down a path to customize for your specific needs. You can create fields, what types of data you're dealing with, and how often you expect them in a document. Then you can upload a sample document to preview results and define fields. So we'll go ahead and upload this. There's a bit of a lag, so I'll show you one that's already predicted. But you can see 1 minute into this process, I'm getting extracted values from this contract. So the title, the legal parties, the jurisdiction, etc. I can create a new field, and in real time, we'll see a prediction from the generative model that will tell us how long we have to terminate this contract at the end of the term, which is 30 days. And also within Workbench, if we choose a term or a field that the generative model isn't able to recognize, we'll see that, and we'll actually be able to teach the model. So this is the health and wellness industry. And then when we mark this document as labeled, all of these predictions are saved as context, including the correction that I just made, so that the next prediction is more accurate. So I come into build, and I can now create a new version. And creating a version essentially saves the fields that I just defined and the documents that I saved as context, so you'll have consistent performance in production. You can take quality to the next level or do model evaluations by importing additional documents and managing the data set. You can use this foundation model to automatically label documents to help you build those data sets much faster. And then, again, coming soon, you'll be able to fine-tune this foundation model directly here in Workbench with the documents you build in your data set. And of course, you can continue to train custom models, which still helps for documents, especially with low to moderate amounts of variation. So once you've experimented, you can come in and see the versions that you've created, run evaluations once you have test sets, and ultimately call an endpoint with a document to get structured data back. So that's how the extractor works. Let's show you the summarizer. So again, you'll come into Document AI, go into Workbench, and go ahead and create a summarizer. And again, you can call this out of the box to get summaries, or you can go down a path of customization. And let's just directly upload a sample document. And we'll be able to customize this based on our preferences for the summary of length, brief, moderate, comprehensive, or bulleted and paragraph. Then we can rewrite that summary, play around with different summary formats, and then choose the one that best fits my needs. And then we can come back and see that those settings have been saved, and again, create a version with those settings that will be used when you call the foundation model. You can also set those settings when you call the individual API with a document. And again, you can come in and see the endpoint, call these endpoints with a document, and get summaries in return. So thankfully, the Wi-Fi held, so let's go back to the slides. Okay, and we'll skip these videos that were my backup. And we will go. All right, so again, these features are in public preview. You can go to Workbench right now in the console within Document AI and try it out. A few of our customers have tried this out, and let's hear what they're saying. BBVA will use generative AI in Workbench to extract data from new document types, including highly dense and unstructured documents. And they'll provide a faster, more accurate, and more secure service to their banking clients. Automation Anywhere helps customers with end-to-end automation. Through Workbench, they plan to use generative AI to help their clients extract and summarize data from more document types and get started faster than ever to drive business growth and automation. Iron Mountain offers an information management and content services platform called Iron Mountain Insight. And within this platform, they plan to use Workbench to help customers summarize documents and improve their customer and employee experience by extracting data from documents with limited or no training data. Orbi AI offers an observe, learn, and automate AI automation platform, which is powered by Document AI. And Orbi AI is going to use custom extractor with generative AI to offer faster time to value, customize results for higher accuracies, and help more customers drive important outcomes, such as 70% cost savings for contract processing. Contextual AI offers contextual language models, which can be customized based on their customers' knowledge bases. And they're turning to Document AI to extract rich and complex data that other extraction solutions have failed to capture for them. They plan to improve the extraction accuracy with few-shot predictions and fine-tuning. And they will structure data from documents with a more accurate and scalable approach that will be an input for their CLMs. So a big thank you to our early customers who have tried this out and provided the feedback. And finally, we continue to invest in the core product, Workbench. A few of my favorite features are automatic diversity sampling to improve the efficacy of your training and test sets, an integration of our custom extractor with BigQuery, so you can analyze the data across your documents, and support for more advanced tables. So I'm excited to see what you all can accomplish with Workbench. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Kiran.
Thanks, Derek. Hi, everyone. I'm Kiran Bellare, product manager for Document AI Warehouse. So I'm going to spend the next 10 to 12 minutes talking about Warehouse, and then we'll talk about some customer use cases. So Warehouse is, so what is Warehouse, right? So some of you may not be familiar with it. It's a new service that we launched around, went into GA around 6 months ago. It complements the rest of the Doc AI portfolio very well. What it is it's a fully managed service to search, to store, govern, and manage the documents, but not just the documents, but also the extracted, the classified, the metadata. We call them properties. So it includes all the data that goes with the documents, all managed within a single platform. So this has several advantages over incumbent repositories that you may have currently, you may be using. So the first is we apply the best of Gen AI technologies to solve several problems, right? One is to be able to find the right document through search, a better search experience, to answer questions that may be buried in the documents, to summarize documents, etc. And I can go over some demos on this a little later. Secondly, we automate a lot of the document processing by supporting bulk batch pipelines to process documents through extraction, classification, etc. Third, we store and manage these documents at cloud scale. So we've had customers with hundreds of millions of documents, right? So you're not talking about thousands of documents. We're going to 6 and 7 figures and 8 figures. The next is really mitigating risk, right? So what does that mean? So there are a couple of things we do. We enforce governance policies, access control at a document-by-document level. We also support things like retention policies, which are required in several regulated industries, and thereby help mitigate risk, ensure compliance. And then finally, it's integrated with a lot of other Google Cloud services that you're probably already using. Doc AI being one of them, but also BigQuery, GCS, and we are adding other services as well. So as you can see, Doc AI Warehouse is applied to a very wide spectrum of industries, spectrum of functions, also different workflows and applications, as you can see. So it's a very broad horizontal platform for managing documents. We've seen a lot of interest from industries like banks, insurance companies, engineering companies, supply chain organizations, government, healthcare and life sciences, but it's not just that, right? It's a pretty broad platform, so you can use it for a variety of other industries and functions as well. So if you look at a typical life cycle of a document through Warehouse, what happens is your document may be resident in any on-premise or cloud repository, or it may be coming in through your scanners or email systems. It gets dropped into GCS, and there are connectors to do that. Once it's in GCS, we have a Doc AI pipeline that you can set up to kind of take it through the Doc AI processing optionally through OCR, extraction, classification, etc., summarization, use a variety of different processors that you might want to use, and then eventually it gets indexed into Doc Warehouse. So at that point, we index it. We also offer, in addition to our own UI, we also offer APIs and trigger notifications so that you can power your other workflows and applications that might be using these documents. So it goes beyond just our UI, and it kind of helps power your business workflows as well. And then finally, it integrates with BigQuery through a connector. So a lot of the data that gets extracted and dropped into Warehouse gets exported directly to BigQuery. So you can run SQL views, you can run a variety of other analytics, run your BI dashboards to get insights on the data that's buried in these documents that would have been buried in various repositories or silos. Okay, so that's high-level architecture. We recently launched a tight integration with Doc AI, and what we mean by that, the slide looks a little more complicated than it really is. There are really 4 touch points where we intersect with Doc AI and the Workbench and the rest of the Doc AI portfolio. So the first is running the Doc AI pipeline, right? So we manage a scalable pipeline to bring in these documents through extraction, classification, summarization, et cetera. That's number one. Secondly, we also are able to take the post-HITL output. So what happens is a lot of customers use Doc AI, but then they have their own human in the loop that's running on Workbench. The output of that human in the loop, that can also be natively that can be ingested into Warehouse through this pipeline. And so some of our customers use that to be able to verify the accuracy of the review or the labeling or for audit purposes. So that's the second use case. Third, it can be used as a data set management platform because a lot of the production documents that are coming in, it goes through Doc AI processing. You still want to be able to cherry pick some of the search, filter, cherry pick some of the documents, use that to export it to Workbench for further up-training your models. So it's used for that. And then finally, the last one is extracting documents that have not gone through Doc AI processing, right? So that they may be resident in Warehouse, they may be just blobs, they might just have raw text extraction. You want to apply like specialized processors or be able to apply some of the Gen AI processors that Derek talked about. So as you can see, there's several different touch points with Doc AI that you can use this for. Okay, so let me jump into what we are releasing now and what we recently released. So we recently released a Gen AI search feature. So this is this is quite very interesting. So I'll talk through the right side of the slide, which kind of shows a demo. So what you see here is there are thousands of COVID research documents. These are completely unstructured documents. You can ask a natural language question. Those get answered, and basically we basically highlight not just a snippet of where the answer might be in the top 5 documents. So there are 3 things it does. First, it finds the top 5 results that might contain the answer. It highlights a snippet that might contain it. And then third, it summarizes the answer as it would appear in each document. So the answer summary is probably where a lot of the value also is, because you eventually want to get some of these documents, especially research articles or reports, can get pretty dense in terms of finding the answer. So that's one. In addition to that, we enforce access control on these documents, so you'll only see the documents that you have access to, which is pretty important in a lot of use cases. And then this can also be used for doing things like answering questions with simple table lookups. We support large documents. As you're all aware, there's a token limit, but these documents can far exceed, the raw text can far exceed the token limit, because we do support large documents as well. And you can have like annual reports, you can have like various reports that exceed like 50, 100 pages sometimes. Okay, so that's Gen AI Search that we launched recently. Today, what we're announcing is a couple of other features on top of that. This one is what we call select document queries within Gen AI Search. So what you're doing here is we also support filtering of documents. So you can actually filter these documents based on the metadata that either extracted or you may have human tagged through humans, or it may be pre-tagged sitting in your other repository, right? So we support all kinds of metadata. So you can filter these down based on the metadata, and then you can basically select these documents and ask questions that only cover the selected documents. And there's a few use cases for it. So for example, in this case, it's a legal firm that's or it's maybe the legal department that's trying to identify various contracts and understand the differences between the scope of engagement, right? The consulting contracts. So how does the scope differ between these 2 contracts, or how does the term differ? For example, you can get answers that kind of compare 2 documents or get a summarized answer that spans across these documents. There are multiple use cases. Or you can even just select a single document and query that, right? That's also a very valid use case, which many of our customers have asked for. So that's one. The other use case is around summarization. So Derek just talked about announcing the Gen AI extractors and summarizers. We do cover both of those in our batch pipeline. So as you're bringing in the documents, you can have them go through, and that's what the animated demo on the left is trying to show, is you're setting up this pipeline where you select a classifier, you can select extractors for, let's say there are 10 different classifications of documents. You can select 10 different extractors. Some of those could be more traditional doc AI extractors. Some could be Gen AI powered extractors. And then you can also have a summarizer that basically which would extract the document summary. And that summary is kept in a field which is kind of highlighted on the right side. The advantage of the summarizer is basically now, and we've seen this, a lot of our users and analysts, they had to open a document to figure out exactly what it's about. Now the summary kind of helps them get a quick sense of what, so they can actually sift through 50 documents on the page and quickly identify the document they're really interested in. Because once you run into, like, say, millions of documents, you'll find a lot of search results that are valid, right? So you still want to be able to narrow down these documents. So that's all I had to present. Let me hand it over to Jonathan, who's going to come and talk to you about Document AI at Deutsche Bank.
Thanks, Kiran. Hi, everyone. I'm going to give you a brief flavor of our experience using Document AI at Deutsche Bank. At Deutsche Bank, we receive many millions of documents every year from our clients, vendors, and other partners. The processing of those documents is largely done in a manual way, extracting information from those documents, archiving, and so on. This obviously has the downside of increased costs and some sort of handling errors that we'd like to avoid. So we're interested in automating those processes, and we feel that Document AI Warehouse and Workbench are very good candidate tools for doing that. We've, at this stage, completed detailed evaluation of Workbench, and our first use cases will be going into production with that in the coming month or so. Meanwhile, our investigations of Doc AI Warehouse are just beginning. Beginning with the extraction side and Workbench, it's worth pointing out that an important factor when determining what tools to use for this is the complexity of your documents. So for simpler documents, shorter standard format documents, what we found is that the Workbench parsers, the ML parsers for extraction that you get in Doc AI are highly accurate. But worth noting that for higher complexity documents, so either very long documents, documents that have high variability, free-form documents, or indeed just documents where you don't have large samples to train models, in those circumstances, the Gen AI functionality that Derek spoke about really comes into play. At DB, we've sort of started our Doc AI journey with documents that are at the simpler end. This is because that's really where we have the highest volume of documents and therefore the highest costs. And so what we've really looked at so far is creating custom parsers using Workbench rather than any of the newer Gen AI functionality. What we have here is just an example form that we've built a custom parser for, in this case related to cross-border payments, but we've created parsers for many, many different documents in our investigations, and largely we see the same kind of performance for all of them. On the right-hand side here, you see a plot of the extraction accuracies for the various different data elements that we want to get out of this document as a function of the training sample size. And you see that for already training sample sizes of as little as 200 documents, you get very high accuracies. And that's kind of a performance that we've seen with multiple document types. Coming now to Doc AI Warehouse, at Deutsche Bank, our main requirements here are related to sort of regulatory requirements that we have with retention and automated deletion of documents, and also to do with scale. We have the order of 1 billion documents, and we want to be able to support 70,000 users. Of particular interest for us, though, are some of the summarization and search functionality that Kiran spoke about. We're particularly excited by that. At the moment, it's quite difficult for us to extract information and to gain insight from these vast number of documents that we have, and we feel that by moving to Warehouse, we'll be able to unlock that potential. In a similar way to what we've already done with the workbench, we're starting to do experimentation against exemplar use cases for warehouse, and that work is just really beginning. Of course, what we're really interested in isn't just solving for one or two use cases. The real value comes from figuring out how to solve for one use case and then solving for all of the use cases that are of the same pattern. So we want to scale this up now to many, many use cases. And we're going to do that by, we've created a shared service that has it gives access to people from across the bank, access to those .ai tools and other tools as well, and makes it easy for them to therefore use those tools. We currently have about 14 use cases in our backlog. The first ones will be going into production shortly, and we're adding to that backlog all the time.